Okay. Well, once again, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Saturday seminar. We have the great pleasure today of having Tom and Andrew Luke, and they speak for themselves. When you think that last year they won 107 certificates, I've got to say, they must have lived at the shows, I would have thought. They won the Best Champion Premier Award last year, another notable award. And anybody that sees their birds know what super birds they've got. So I will immediately pass you straight over to Tom and Andrew Luke. Andrew's doing most of the talking. Tom just going to stand around looking beautiful.
Please. Right. So first of all, thank you very much for inviting us, Ron. This is a great event that Ron single-handedly puts on every year without fail. Our second time being nervous up here doing it in front of you all. But it's been a few years. Hopefully the birds have changed a lot in those few years. We feel like they have. So we're just going to run through some of our birds, or loads of our birds, over the last 18 years.
Nearer to the mic.
Nearer to the mic. Okay. So bloodlines are very important with budgies. We did line breed for quite a number of years. Now we mix all the lines together, but most of our birds are related in some way. These are key birds or key breeders we've had birds on from over the years. It's not every bird we've brought in, it's just the ones that have actually had a proper kind of positive influence on the stud and the line still kind of in the birds. Our biggest influence was Malkinson stud. In South Africa, so we brought in quite a few birds in 2008 to 2012, including lacewings. We wanted to go another variety, so we got lacewings from Reinhardt in South Africa. We've had a bit of influence from Keith Moorhousey stuff, that's given us a bit kind of flow, directional feathering, that kind of thing. A few birds from Richard Miller, Huxley Marchant, Michael Hein in Germany. A couple of years ago, we got a spangled cinnamon cock from him and a grey-green cock that bred very, very well for us, and I've kind of added different features and different feathers to our birds. Like I say, there is other people that we've had birds from, but they've never kind of taken the stud forwards. They've either bred worse than what they've been, or they've just not bred at all. And these are what we keep. So we keep all these standard normals, varieties. Years ago, when we first started with budgies, we were purely opening cinnamons. We paired up 50 odd pairs yesterday, and there's probably about 4 pairs of opening cinnamons amongst them. Everything else is normal or a few lacewings. So our change has been swapping birds with people. We were getting frustrated when we had 100, 200 opening cinnamons, and you could only enter 4 classes at each show. So we've got now. But we didn't want to change overnight, we wanted to change with quality. So our opening cinnamons were good. So we've tried to add spangles, cinnamons, normals, a few yellow faces, the odd line, to kind of mix it up a bit. But the heart of the study is opening cinnamon, still today. This was our biggest winning bird from when we kind of first got going really with the budgies. This is back in 2001. 6 best in shows, he went to 19 shows, won 19 challenge certificates. A bird like that today wouldn't even get in the breeding cage. So it just goes to show how quickly birds are changing, and how quickly the feather and the style of bird and what people are wanting today is completely changed. So in just 18 years we've gone from that to a completely different bird. This was a bird that won Best Opposite Sex here at Clubshow as a baby, 2002. All our lines really go back to this bird. So they're all, what we've added, have all gone into this line. So our lacewings are mixed in with them, the pieds are mixed in with them, everything just goes back to this line. The only bird it ever bred, so it bred one bird, cinnamon cock. Interesting thing about this bird, at the time it was by far our best bird. Didn't breed, fill an egg for 2 years. It was the biggest pain in budgies ever. you get a really good bird, they do nothing. So he went in a flight, picked his own mate, and bred 5 chicks in 1 round, then died. So, but at least that family, by having the 5 birds to a really, really rubbish hen, kept that line going, and now it's still in the birds today. I should say 2002 was the first time we showed at the club show. I think before that we were doing quite a lot of winning, but we were a bit too scared because Doncaster's the big show. All the best birds in the country should be here, and we were thinking, do we want to risk it? Do we not? Can we take the birds? Should we not? But since 2002, I think we've shown every year apart from 1. So now, depending on whenever it is in the year, we'll try and make an effort to get birds here to Doncaster, just to see what our birds are like against everyone else's. If you look at today, the adult grey class down there and the baby grey-green class, there's some absolute stonking budgies from all over the country. So it's that competition of seeing other people's birds next to our birds that kind of keeps us going. Oakland blue cock. This is our first bird. What we think, we had this directional feathering dropping down here. In fact, I would say this probably had too much of it because it couldn't see a thing. There's so much feather around his face you could hardly see, and a bit flat on the head. So that was a kind of exceptional bird back in that time, but now I don't think it is. Things have changed. It's a grey cock. We did a swap with a bloke called Neil Harvey, and got a cinnamon off him, which had a Joe Manny's ring on it, and this bred that bird, and this bird, and then the grey greens come up. We bought a bird off Gerald Binks, and kind of again we want a few normals to add to our opening cinnamons. So this is one we started off with. This is first generation. So this was 50% gold. That, interestingly, is the bird that featured in his second book. He pestered us for a long time for photographs of birds to put in his books. There's a little yellow face out of the kind of Manny's line that we had back in then. This hen came here twice to the club show, won 2 CCs. Won us a couple of best in shows for us, a few best opposite sexes. Again, in its time, really, really nice opening cinnamon hen. I should point out all our birds don't have a dodgy sear. This bit here is not on our birds. it's on the thing. So these are our kind of best birds from this time period. So back here we're breeding with 24 breeding cages, doing 2 or 3 rounds a year, then stopping breeding, showing, then pairing up traditionally kind of November time. We were very set in our ways. We always played up the same same week every year, that kind of thing. Didn't really work. Going forwards, we had to change. The birds come fit different times of year now. Now we pair up as soon as the birds are coming fit. We pair up. So we paired up yesterday, most of them. 2005, we decided that we wanted a bigger bird room, and not just a bigger bird room in terms of numbers of cages and space, but an easier bird room to keep clean. I should have said, during all this time, I haven't been living at home, so I've been in London. Dad's been looking after all the birds. So it's a lot of work. When you look at 24 breeding cages, especially at the time Dad was at work, so keeping them clean, tidy, pairing them up, doing all the stuff that you guys know about, it is a lot of work. So once we decided to go bigger, we had to go bigger but make everything easier. So we built a new bird room just for the birds. We did have problems with slugs. As soon as we started up, we like to leave the windows like ajar at night, but on those little funny lock things, but we were finding we had loads of slugs coming in the mornings. So we had this tip of putting copper tape all the way around the window seals, which lasts for about 6 months, and you've got to replace the copper tape. We recently changed to half flights or 3/4 flights. We did have 2 huge walk-in flights, and we're finding that most of our birds were preferring to live on the floor during the day, and then they perch in the evening. And it wasn't they couldn't fly; it's just they were too lazy. And that, to be honest, that drove me bonkers. I hated them all. I hated all the birds sitting on the floor all the time. They just get dirty. They're always pointing to his feathers, that kind of thing. And also, when there's an ill bird, it's much harder to see them. So we decided to go down this route. So we built 3 of these cages. So they're about 8 foot long, 9 foot long, 8 foot long, 3, 4 foot wide. We've got 3 of those. 2 a double trolley cage, which all our babies go into for a while. And then we've recently got one of these new Budgerigar kind of big, kind of 3/4 flight trolley things. So that will easily hold 80 birds. On our flights, we tend to hold about 50 birds in each flight. We don't like to have a lot of birds in one flight because it stresses them out. And as you know, the better your birds are, the more easy they are to kill. And stress is one of those things. And pecking order, the better the birds, somehow they seem to be lower in the pecking order. So space with the birds is really, really important for us. We last year went on to Budgerigar breeding cages. Again, we built melamine cages, but they were kind of starting to come to the end of their life. They started to do a bit of extra work. So we decided to go down this Trespa route for really easy cleaning. So we've got a small handheld steam cleaner. So we basically just spray them with Vercon S and then a hand steam cleaner, 2 seconds a cage, job done. The cage fronts come outside and Dad will power wash them. So it's a lot easier to clean. And now there's 44 cages along the back and 12 along another side. 48 cages, sorry, so a total of 60 we've got now. Preparation areas, we've got the sink, obviously a lot of stuff to clean, all the drinkers have to get cleaned a couple of times a week, food dishes, all the trays from the bottom of the cages. Dishwasher, is that in the house? My mum? No, she doesn't do anything. No, she does do stuff in the budget, she does a lot of stuff, to be honest. But no, so that's all done in here. At the other end, this is the best bit, I think, for showing the budgies, is we've got a lot of training cages. So when visitors come, we get a lot of our top birds out and put them in all these cages, and it basically just steadies them for the show, so it gets them used to people prodding them, taking pictures of them, that kind of thing. And we've also found that since we've moved on to these kind of half flights, and especially the Budgerigar one being in the middle of the aviary, the birds are so used to now people just walking around them all the time, so they just sit there, they don't fly away anymore. So it's less stressful for the birds. We spend less time chasing them around, catching them. So that's a kind of important thing. And when we're pairing up, we tend to pair up. The best 5 or 6 cocks come out of the cages, they get put in them, and then we just select the mates for them, and then we kind of work our way down. So when we paired up yesterday, we go quality cocks first, and then lesser, so we don't do colours at a time. So we just go to what we think is the best at the time, and we both have different views of which are the best. So we might start off with the idea of the first 5 cocks, but end up being the best 10 because he likes 5 and I like the other 5. But we always pair up together. We both know what all the birds are off without hardly knowing. Well, I say all the birds, all the better birds are all off without having to look at the records. So we kind of talk every day on the phone about new pairing stuff. If I'm not there, we know what's going on with all the birds. So this is 2007, so we're coming a little bit closer to the real time. And some of the birds that we were showing and doing quite well with. This dilute just popped out of a Doug Sadler bird that we'd bought in 5 or 6 years earlier, and we didn't know we had it split dilute, so that just stayed hidden in the genes for many years. Never bred a thing. It's got a blue seer. It's a hen, but it's got a blue seer. So we kept it for a bit to show it, tried breeding with it, and then and then it just never even laid an egg. We've never had, when the hens have gone blue in the sea like that, we've never had any success breeding of them. To be honest, now we wouldn't even bother growing it up unless it was a exceptionally good bird. Cobalt cock. This bird for us was a key bird. At the time, it was probably say number 40 cock in the stud, so nowhere near the top. But it went on to breed in that year the best 2 or 3 birds, which then really pushed those lines forwards. But a key thing for us to remember is that his sons, although they're exceptional, he's not exceptional. So if you think of like line breeding, you go half brother and half sister. What you're doing by putting 2 good ones together, you're going backwards in effect. So we always try and remember that. With our records, we also keep a record with all birds with wing problems, tail problems, any cysts in lines, and that's all on our records. We never pair 2 birds together with feather problems. We now hardly have any birds with feather problems because we don't like breeding off them. And the same with cysts, because I think there's 2 or 3 different types of cysts. Some of it is line breeding, some of it's fixed in, some of it is just in the genes. Some of it I think is down to bad management and bad care of birds as well. So it's a bit of I think more research is needed for feather cysts in the budgies. The grey green cock, again, this is a son off the previous grey green that I said was Gerald Bink's line. This one not the best opposite sexes and best young bird in show for us. Cobalt. So this is star of the Malkington birds. So this is first generation out of one of the Malkington outcrosses. And the same here. So the next few birds are all brothers. Off a spangle cock of Reinhardt and one of our grey hens. Opening cinnamon. So this was a picture taken 5 weeks before the club show. So we'd pulled all its spots, ready for it to get a fresh set of new spots to come here. And it only got the CC. Its head wasn't in that good a condition. It was a bit penny, so it didn't deserve more than the CC. But again, I think 2008. So this is as a young bird. That was probably the best hen we've bred until that time. Really nice directional feather. It's quite blowy, quite a big, solid hen. Not the best hens to have in a breeding cage, but the hens that everyone wants to have to do well at shows. Dominant pied. So this again is 50% Malkington, 50% our line. We did buy an exceptionally good pied off Reinhardt because our pied line that we'd had visually, the pieds had disappeared. So it was the line was still there, but they weren't in pied form, they were in grey green form with sky blue. So we wanted to get a pied line back and we wanted to get a spangle line going, although now we don't breed in lines, we're all complete mixture. This again is a 50% us, 50% Malkington. This cinnamon is one that we bred and did a lot of winning for us. Won a lot of best young birds in show, a lot of best opposite sexes. For me, it was a massive bird, but the head wasn't in proportion to the size of the bird. Obviously, it's got shadow spots in there, but it was a nice hen. Lacewings. So 2008 we bought 3 visual lacewing cocks from South Africa, 1 hen and a split cock. And what we did is we paired the split cock to the lacewing hen. They bred complete crap. So that was pure Malkington bred absolute rubbish. The 3 lacewing cocks we paired them to all our opening cinnamon, our best 3 opening cinnamon hens, and popped out these nice lacewings. So they were as good as the lacewings we just bought in, but a real kind of, for us it was weird that we produced better birds pairing them to our lines than we did pairing Malkington to which is a bit, because normally that normally doesn't happen when you buy in birds from different people. So this one won a CC here, the Clubshow. It did the year after it got attacked. It was going to come here and it got attacked on half its ear, kind of got ripped off by its pen. But I think these back in, so this is 2008, 2009, I think these